Hello, Embird friends. WeQuilt Studio here with another Embird curly plant video. Now, for this series of videos, we are going to delve into the rotational curly plant. So, for instance, I just drew a little six-sided hexagon. And I'll show you real quick how I did that. I just clicked the mesh icon here, the mesh tool, and click. I'll move over here. And shape, polygon, six-sided, and I decided to make it kind of more longer in the width just because my hoop is 240 wide by 200 tall. So I'll just hit enter, and then that's how I made it. And then I just went into params and I chose mesh mode plant, and the growth kind I chose rotation. So we're just going to do rotation 2 times. And I went with a range of 8 just to see how exciting it would be. And a count of 20. I've been kind of leaving my count at 20. I'll leave it at 100%, although I think these might be at 200. I'm not sure. Interior, I'll leave it at interior. Seed 18, I've been liking 18 and 20 lately. And I'm going to just leave this at 90 degrees. Now, this setting right here deserves a little bit of explanation. So yes, I'm kind of interrupting this video because I want to really make sure that I really stress how really cool this setting is. And what it is depending on what growth kind you choose, okay? See how this is dark pink? Well, for rotation 2 times, what they're telling you is Embird's going to look at your vector object, and the default that it's going to look at for rotation 2 times is going to be the left side of that vector object. So for us, it's going to be this and all of this, all this left side. That's what it's going to look at to create its design, you could say. And they call it the source sector. And the source sector is the one that gets repeated or mirrored, depending on which one we choose. Now, for this growth kind, it's just going to get repeated, rotated. But there's other growth kinds. You know, here's all the ones that are just rotation, but then when you get towards the bottom, you have just plain mirror, so no rotation, just a mirror. So there are 2 here. So this is what Embird's going to look at to create your source sector, this entire half, but it's going to mirror it over. But the one that we're on now is rotation. So yes, it's still going to look at the left side, but it's not going to mirror it over. It's going to rotate it over. So the flower up here is actually going to be down here. So it doesn't look symmetrical. This setting here, rotation 2 times, it's not really symmetrical, and you'll see what I mean. And I'm going to show you the difference between rotation 2 times and mirror, and then also mirror and rotation 2 times. So this one kind of marries the two. Okay, so that'll be this first video of this series, so to speak. Mirror and rotation, you'll see the dark pink, so the source sector, the default that Embird looks at on your vector object is the bottom left quadrant. So even though it's like a 2-time setting, it looks at the just the a quarter of your vector object. That's because it has 2 jobs, mirror and rotation. So the first thing it does is it tries to fill out with flowers on the bottom here, then it mirrors it to the light pink. So these are mirrors, but then it rotates as well over to the other side. So this side looks like this side, but because of the mirroring, you'll see it really creates a beautiful design. So we'll go into that. And then later we'll do the rest of these. We'll do like, rotation 10 times. So it's only rotation. And you see how tiny it's going to look at such a tiny little area. Okay. And then it takes that, whatever it generates for that source sector, that just gets rotated all the way around. If we look at, say, we'll just look at mirror and rotation, what that does is the default that it's going to look at is this little pink here. Embird creates a little curly plant just in this area here, and then it mirrors it, and then this entire sector then gets rotated, and it's repeated here, and then it rotates again, and it's repeated here. And it's kind of interesting how they use like a dark green and a light green. I know it's hard to see. Dark yellow, light yellow, showing that these two are mirrored. These two are mirrored. These two are mirrored. So, and so that's kind of the summary of the difference between everything. These that just say rotation 6 time, rotation 7 time, and so on, they just get rotated. There's no mirroring involved. But these down here, they mirror first. Like this is mirrored first, and then it gets rotated. This one, it says 4 times, but you would think it'd be the quarter that Embird looks at, but no. It has to be an eighth, because Embird looks at this eighth, and then it mirrors that curly plant design that it made. It mirrors it to here. So that's your quarter that then gets rotated, rotated, rotated. So it's really cool. And then keeping all that in mind, and you can see it's always the bottom left, bottom left, bottom left. That's the default that Embird looks at. Well, not on here, it's the left. Because there's just 2, it's a mirror. But that's just the default. You can change it. You can have Embird look over here first. And that's what this setting is. This setting when you look at it first, it's always going to be, you know, Embird's default. I think I changed it. Okay, yeah, let's go back to the one that we are starting with is this one. It might be a little misleading because it's, you know, the entire side, but at any rate, I'll just click that just so I stay consistent with the video. So this little setting here, you can grab this line and move it. So now Embird's going to look at the bottom of your vector object for this one, and it'll rotate it around. So here's my vector object. This is what Embird's going to fill, you know, with a curly plant. It's going to try to fill it up with seed 18. And then it's going to rotate it around. So we're not on mirror, we're on rotation. And if I did go to mirror, okay, you'd be like, well, what's the difference? Well, because you'll see a mirror actually looks more symmetrical. You'll see you got the exact thing on both sides, and one's not flipped upside down, whereas with rotation, one gets flipped upside down. But then if I went to, say, mirror and rotation 4 times, okay, now there's my angle. Well, it's staying at this setting because that's what I just had it on, but normally you'd come down here and it would look like that when you first open up the params window. That's the default for mirror and rotation 4 times. See the pink? It's down here. Then it mirrors across, and then this whole design gets rotated around. But if I wanted Embird to look at, say, this area for the source sector, this then becomes, you know, my curly plant that then gets mirrored over here, and then that quarter gets rotated around. Or I could come up here, you know, anywhere. I could come there. And that's why Embird on their website, they said, you know, you can have like an irregularly shaped vector object, and then you can set your source sector wherever you want on that object, and Embird will fill it out, and we'll do an example of that as well. So, and then that's the design that gets rotated around no matter what the rest of it looks like, no matter what the shape of the rest of your vector object looks like. It just looks at the source sector only. So you'll see sometimes your source sector is like smaller or shorter because the design maybe came in, you know, but it doesn't matter. Embird takes that short, tiny little section, and that's the section that gets moved around. Or it could be a section that's stuck out more, you know, and that's where you wanted your source sector, and it's sticking out more. And so then that's what gets mirrored and rotated around, is that, you know, longer sector. Even though these might be shorter over here, it just kind of sticks out beyond it. It doesn't pay any attention to the rest of the vector object. It only pays attention to your source sector. So you have a lot of control, you know. So let's go back to the video, and because we're going to start simple, you know, with just rotation 2 times. And I'm probably not going to use this very often, and you'll see why. It's just not symmetrical, but you may want it. at some time, for some reason. So, okay, back to the video. I know I said back to the video, but I wanted to show you Embird's page about this. So this is their curly plant essential guide. So it's on their website. And if you come down here, okay, we already covered origin point. And if you come down here to growth kind, this kind of sums it up. There's 4 types of growth. Okay, we already covered origin point. This is core, covered that. And now this is rotation only. That's what we're covering now. And then this is mirror and rotation. Okay, so that kind of sums it up. And then this here talks about the source sector. Okay, the sprouts grow in just one sector of the mesh object. Circle in this case, doesn't have to be a circle. This sector is called the source sector. So that's where it gets its first design, or its original, or its source, is this area of your vector object. Default source, the default source sector is the bottom left one. Okay. It is marked with red color in the above picture. Source sector can be changed with angle control source sector for symmetry, and that's what we were just talking about down here. Source sector for symmetry, and this is your angle control. Okay, and sprouts from source sector are copied around the origin point. So here's your origin point. And remember, if you don't specify an origin point, then Embird will take the center of your design as the origin point. It'll just assume that's your origin point. But you can set your origin point anywhere. I could have set it lower, or he could have set it lower in this example, or he could have set it over here or right here, you know, wherever you want your sprouts to generate from is your origin point. Okay, so see how they're generating from the center. So sprouts from source sector are copied around the origin point to other sectors. The parent mesh object, meaning your vector object, does not need to have a circular shape. Be any shape. Shape of the source sector is used in all other sectors regardless of the real shape of those sectors. In other words, that's what I was getting to before. Let's find an example of that. Okay, here. Okay, this is an irregular shape. Okay, it's an irregular mesh object. The origin point is in the middle. Source sector, the default is down here. So Embird's going to make a curly plant that fills this out, and then this curly plant is what gets rotated around, regardless of how short these are, you know, regardless of their size, shape. Embird pays no attention to these. It's only looking at your source sector. And I think they show it down here. Yeah. This one, though, was a different lesson. This is the core, or not core, base. He's using 2 bases, a heart, and then this. So it's a little bit different, but the concept is kind of the same. So the red here signifies the curly plant that was generated off of these bases. Okay, that'll be the next lesson when we talk about the bases. But, and then this here, if you're doing mirror and rotation, this little design and these bases gets mirrored over here. The exact design gets mirrored over to here. See, regardless of how this is shaped, this vector object is shaped, this design gets mirrored, and then this entire piece gets rotated, because this must be 1, 2, 3. This must be a 3-time mirror and rotation. Okay. So they're showing the green line as the mirror line, and the pink line is when this whole thing gets rotated over to here. And then here it is down here. Okay, here it is here. Gets rotated there, same exact design, and then it gets rotated here. And this is what it looks like without these dots, of course. And Embird does tell you that, like, if your center and like your origin and everything is not like symmetrical, it's not like a symmetrical object or a regular object or what have you, your base would get squished a little. See how this heart is like squished to fill this in. So it's really interesting how they do that. So just, you have so much power, so much power. You know, like you can see this one here. This one is rotational symmetry combined with mirroring. Okay, so this must be the 2-time. That's what we're going to cover today. So this is their vector object. They made an oval and, you know, mesh oval. And then this is the default where it's going to create its curly plant. So here it is here. Here's what Embird created with whatever seed they used. And then this gets mirrored up here. Okay, the arrow's pointing, so it gets mirrored up here. I don't know why it's not light pink. And then this gets, you know, like rotated over to here. The mirror and rotation makes some really beautiful designs. And here you can see they moved the origin point down lower. This is just mirroring, which is what we're going to go into today. And the origin point means that's where the sprouts are going to generate from. So this person wanted the sprouts to generate lower and sprout up. Looks like that this was one with a base. This is a base where they're generating off of. And so this is just mirrored. It's completely the same on both sides. You know, it's really pretty. So, and I could just go on and on and on, but here's another one with mirrored. You know, this is a little confusing because this is really the source here. And then this gets mirrored over there. You can see it. So this should be light pink. But this is it. And it gets mirrored over here. So this is a 4-time. This is 1/8 is the source sector. Gets mirrored. And then this whole quarter now gets rotated from this origin, around this origin point. And so here it is here, and then it gets rotated there and there. So I guess I'm going through them all. But, and these are bases, you know, we've got a lot of bases here. Well, one of them shows a lot of bases. Let's see. I thought there was one where he showed, okay, down here. He's got the heart base, then he's got the green base, two bases. Bases, yes. This one has three bases. So you've got the little hearts, and then you've got this orange is another base, and then the green is another base. They allow you four bases. So the blue is just the plants, you know. So, and like I said, that'll be the next video. So now we really are going back to the video now. Okay. And what you'll see is on these rotations, you'll see all of them have a pink little section on every one of them. And what that means is that's the part of your vector shape that the little slice of pie, so to speak, is going to be generated from. So whatever shape your design is in this bottom left, it's like bottom left, that's the design that's going to be created. Now when we start with rotation 2 times, it's the entire half, the left half, and then it's going to rotate. And I'm going to show you the difference between rotation 2 times and mirror, just plain mirror. Not mirror and rotation 2 times, but just plain mirror. You can see this entire side is pink. This entire left side is pink. So they're kind of similar, those two. So, but first I'll just do rotation 2 times. And if I click on my settings here, I'm not going to include any outers or inners because I don't want this vector shape to stitch. It looks like it's stitched here because I'm in vector mode. If I'm in 3D, you won't see the vector shape. I'll do that when I'm kind of done generating it. And I'm leaving my min length at 1.5 because the tips of these curls, I'm still kind of wishing they weren't coming in so much because sometimes they don't generate well. But with a min length of 1.5, it does generate a little bit better. And these curly plants are all 2 layers, so there's no single layers in these. And you'll notice when you have 2 layers, that's when you get the choice of interior, cropped, you know, or overflow. And of course, I like to choose interior. On this one, I have my flowers at 100%, scale 75. I've just been kind of liking that, and I want my flowers from the library instead of my font. So since I chose library, you go to this tab, and I like to choose the rose. I just love the rose. And you can choose more than one. So I'll just hit the check and leave it at the rose. And then for the leaves, here's my settings. Now they've added more leaves, but I'm not real happy with these new leaves. I think 7 is okay. I did ask Dushan for an S-shaped leaf. This one's kind of S-shaped. Number 3. They kind of added this around it, I think, to show you that, you know, the width of it, you know, this thickness around the center line. But I asked him to digitize or whatever, reprogram 5 and 8, because 8 is really not pleasing, and neither is 5. And I'm not crazy about 6 either. 7 is almost an S shape. Sometimes it can look okay. I usually use 2 or 3. I haven't had any luck with 4, but 2 and 3 I use a lot. So I'll just use 2. But like I said, I'm still not crazy about how it curls over so much at the tip. I've asked for part of that tip to be cut off just a little bit so that it generates a little better, but I could be wrong in that. So, but I believe my leaf length on this one was 100, but I believe my width was 50 maybe. I can't recall. I'll have to look. And I think my curliness was 75, but I'm not too sure. And they've also given us a new feature called a center line. So you'll get a center line through it. And I've like a 60 or 80% center line. So I'll put that in on this one. The base, for right now, for this lesson, we're going to have no base. So none of these bases. None of them. We might have gotten new bases too. Let's see. Yeah, I think we did get some new bases like these. Maybe these 4 might be new. I'm not sure, but we'll do that in another lesson. So for right now, we're going to have none for all of our bases. You can have many bases, 3, 4 bases. So that just, gives you a lot of complexity to your plant. So let's go back to this one then. So this is just a simple rotation. So it's not going to mirror itself. It's just going to rotate. I am going to go ahead and make it 200% before I hit apply. I'm pretty sure these other ones were at 200. It just looks better. And then it doesn't take as long to generate as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit apply. Okay, I'm going to just hold my right mouse and move it over. You can do that now even when your params window is open. I could also hit Control 1 since it's selected, but then it's still not, this is still blocking it. So I'll hold the right mouse and I'll just drag it over just so you could see it. And what you'll notice is it looks like if we were to cut it down the center, okay, remember, because we're at a 90-degree symmetry, right? So that means that, it's being cut down the center vertically as opposed to being cut this way. However, you don't see that it's actually mirrored. Like if this whole right side were flipped vertically, okay, see these 3 roses here are the same 3 roses up here, These 2 curls in rows are up here. These 2 curls in rows. So, and you say to yourself, well, why didn't it just mirror itself? Well, because it's not a mirror, it's just a rotation. So this entire left side, which you see in pink, was rotated, okay? So that meant that, this kind of, think of it, it's spun around and it's down here now. So like, we could turn it into an outline, turn this whole mesh, convert it to outlines, try to split it down the middle, and then flip this side, do transform, flip vertically, and then try to match them up and so on. And I did do that uh, off screen, but it's like, what's the use? What is the sense of it? Because we could have just chosen mirror, and that's what it does for you. Mirror does a rotation 2 times like this, but it actually mirrors it. So it's a little confusing. This mirror rotation is different. The source is in the bottom left of this one. So for right now, I don't know if you'd ever want to just use this one. I mean, it's organic, I guess, if you wanted something organic, but it just looks so much better, and you'll see when we do the actual just mirror, which is what the green one is. You can see the mirror. Let's click on the green one and click params. It usually takes a minute. Okay, see, now it changed to mirror. So it's a little slow, but you can see it took the entire pink left side, just like this one did. Let me hit my minus button so I could zoom out and hold my right mouse to get them both in. I'm using my minus button again. I'm holding my right mouse. Okay, there we go. So on this green one, then you can see, the whole left side is taking the shape of your vector, it's filling it in, and then it's mirroring it across to the light pink side. And I just think that looks better. I think it's more useful to us, but again, somebody might want something organic. And now this little hexagon that I created is not the same size as this one. It's a little longer and so on. It's a totally different size. But this one here is the same size as this green one. So this one is this blue one here. Now I can't select it, but this blue one here is the only thing that's different is that it's the rotation only. So again, you see the flower and the curl, and here it is down here, flower, curl. Here's 2 curls, flower, 2 curls, flower. So it's just this whole left side rotated. So that's the only difference between this one and this one. Now you look at it and you say, well, I mean, this is a little bit different design than this. And yeah, I mean, even though they're the same vector shape, like Embird says, all of these curly plants are just organically, or what do they call it? Not organically, they call it, I forget the word they use, but they're going to be different every time. Okay, so this one's not going to be exactly like, the green one, but it's kind of similar. So instead of having to go through the trouble of slicing this in half, well, you can't slice it in half as a mesh, so you have to first convert it to outlines up here, convert mesh to outlines, and then once you converted it to outlines, then you take your lasso tool and split it, and usually you get a straggler over here that you also have to split off. It's kind of a pain. And then you would take this right side and flip it. You do transform flip, and then you'd get something that looks like this, where it's mirrored. But then why go through all that? You know, just do mirror, and you'll get the same type of effect. And it's, you don't have to convert it to outlines or anything. It's all done, and it stitches all in one shot. So that's the difference between those two. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit done. And this one that I created here that was, you know, a different size, I'm just going to delete it. And I'm just going to take the green one, Control C, Control V. I'll turn that one, say, purple. It's going to take a minute, I think. I thought I had it selected. Let's try it again. Maybe I didn't. And I'm just going to hold Control, and I'm going to drag it over. So I showed you the green one. The green one is, let me just go over that again. The green one is actually mirror. So that's the only thing that's different between the green and the blue. Is one is mirror, and the other one is just rotation 2 times. 2-time rotation. Okay. But now on the green one is a mirror. And even though it doesn't say 2 times, it's assuming that you kind of know that a mirror does have 2 parts, I guess. I guess that's what they're assuming that we know. So, but let's go to the purple one now. And like I said, I can't select it while this is open. I haven't found a way to do that. So I'm going to hit done. And click the purple, go into crayons. And so now this time we're going to show you the difference down here, mirror and rotation 2 times. Remember what I was saying, how this one, it's, you know, you always look for the bright pink. It's going to generate a design from your vector shape, but only in the bottom left corner of your vector shape. So look at the center of your vector shape, and then kind of look at this bottom left corner. So this is where our source design is going to come from. And then that design, that design is going to mirror itself up to this light pink, so to this upper left. So we got mirror and rotation. That's really the only thing we changed. And I'll click apply. Okay. I'm going to hit done. And I'll just click outside. I mean, I could go into 3D on these, and you could just see that the vector shape is gone. So I'll just do that because it is so pretty. So let's see the difference between the two. Okay, or the 3 actually. I'm going to zoom out. Let me do Control A and then Control 1. It's quicker. There. Now we can see them all. So remember, this is rotation 2 times. So 1, 2. This one is just a mirror, so it's the whole left side mirrored. And then this one, that piece of pie is right here. It's this section right here. If I were to say grab the outline tool and just kind of show you, you know, I'll just say close edges. I'll click this. Oh, don't tell me I locked it up. I'll hit enter. But you can kind of see, I'll just make it red, that, you know, this is the section that is mirrored up here, and then the two together. Could look at this and say, okay, this section is mirrored across here, and then these two are mirrored up here. Now let's do something else. Let's do a interesting experiment. And instead of, I think that should fit it in. If not, I can move it. Let's Control C, Control V. I'll make this one lighter purple. And I'll hold Control and drag it down. Okay. And I'll go into params. And this time I will mess with this down here. So since this is a symmetrical object, this little piece of pie is going to be the same no matter what corner we choose. But let's just go ahead and put this at 0 and just see if we get a different design. Don't know if we will on this one. So remember, we're at mirror and rotation 2 times. You know, it's showing this, but like I said, all of these are the same anyways. They're the same shape, vector shape, each of these quadrants. Let's just see. I know when we do just the mirror, this one, where it's just mirrored, if you choose a 0 degree on this one instead of 90, it'll mirror across the top. Okay, yeah, we got something different. I'll do the green one in a minute. But it'll mirror, it'll have a design here at the bottom, and then it'll mirror it across the top. So your axis of symmetry is horizontal. So with this one, let's think about this. I'm thinking out loud on this one. So my angle is 0 degrees. I got a completely different design. Like I said, they're the same on the left or the right. So to be honest, I don't know like how different that would be. What if I went like this? You know, am I going to get a completely different design as well? It's still horizontal. Am I going to get a different design than this? I'll have to see. But for right now, let's leave this one at 0. Let's hit done. And let's take this one, Control C, Control V, hold Control. I'm going to drag it up here. I don't think I had it. Okay, almost. Okay. So let's make this one different color purple. And let's go into params. It looks like my hoop has to be made bigger. Let me hit Control S and options. I should have hit Control A so I see what I'm dealing with. Control A, 680 by 530. So I'll make it 600 by, say, 600 high. Options, settings. I thought my width was wider than that. Okay, let's just go 800 on the width. And what did I say? 600. And I'll hit enter, enter, and then done. Let's go back into vector view. Okay. So I have them all selected. I had Control A. I'm going to hold Control and Alt and hit C. And then this one down here, we're going to go into params. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this to 180. So it's still horizontal. I just want to see if it's going to be different. Okay, it looks like it's the same as the one on the bottom. Let me hit done. Yeah, they're the same. So these two, Control 1. Okay. So either 180 or 0 degrees gives you the same design. That's good to know. And then this one, let's Control C, Control V. And let's just go ahead and insert after. Whoops, wrong one. Insert before. And let's make this one like a darker green. Hold Control, we'll drag it down. And we'll go into params. Now, this one, okay, it took a minute for it to change. It was at 90. Remember, this one is just the mirror. So it's not a 2-time rotation, but it's a mirror, a plain old mirror, which is kind of like 2 of them. But instead of it mirroring across the vertical axis, it's going to mirror now across the horizontal axis. That's the only thing we're going to change. So this is mirror. So now, even though this is showing us the pink is over here, the dark pink is going to be down here. So let's hit apply, and you'll see now we're going to mirror across this horizontal axis. Okay, so it's a totally different design. Let's hit our plus sign just to zoom in a little. Hold my right mouse. And then this one, we'll just delete it because it's the same as the bottom one. This one is a horizontal symmetry, and so is this one. These are the fonts. I'm going to move them to the top. And I'm going to take this one, Control C, Control V. And I'll just make it a darker purple so we can see it. Hold Control. Bring it down. And I'll hit edit. Let me hit Control 1 to bring it into view. I'll hit Control S and then I'll hit edit. Okay. And I am going to, let's bring the grid. Let me just hit enter and view layout grid. And when I hit edit, I am going to snap to the grid. So I'll click here, the arrow's pointing here, but I want to change this here. So I want to click there and I'll insert. And it's square because the curve is showing, that means these two lines are straight. I can click here and now the one I had selected has this arrow here. That means that's a curve. But I can go ahead and maybe snap there and click here and make that a curve. And let's see. But let's just see. Let's kind of go with that. I don't know. It might be too pointy here. There might not be enough room here to do something. But I'm just going to change that. This is the lower left quadrant, you know. So let's see what it does. So let's go into params. Hold my right mouse. Whoops. Okay. So what are we on? So we're on this. We're going to bring it over here. Right there. So that means, you know, this is our center. So right here and here, this is where our source is going to be. And remember, this is mirror and rotation 2 times. So we're going to have our source there. Let's hit apply. Let's just see what we got. So you can kind of see, because I have interior, that this quadrant here, this did conform. It did kind of stay in the interior of it, kind of. Okay. You can see it's not even obeying these vector shapes because these are not the source. This was the source right here. So it stayed within the confines of this source, and this is our design then that gets mirrored and rotated across. So we're going to take this irregular one and we're going to put this down here. Control S. So it's going to be a symmetrical, you know, it's going to be in that, okay, whoa. It's going to be here. So in this quadrant that's more symmetrical, and you'll see it'll probably conform to all of these 3, but not this one because it's not going to pay any attention to this. So we'll just hit apply. Okay, so we got this design exactly. These two are exactly the same. They both took the same quadrant that we're telling it here. The default is the bottom left. But you can change that wherever you want your source of symmetry to be. The source sector, I'm calling it a slice of pie. They're calling it a sector. Sorry about that. And which one do I like the best? I like this one where it's just mirrored and mirrored vertically. They are geniuses. They are geniuses. I don't know how their brain is so complex unless the AI does it. So there you go. They're all cute. I still like this one and this one the best.